I am having a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm going to try and see if I can do this one more time.
I'm fine.
Okay, cool. That's okay. We'll do it. I can fix it later. No biggie. Let's roll. Hi, everybody. Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, coming to you live from SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio from beautiful Cape May, New Jersey. It's really hot today. Hello to Kevin Martin and Josh and Annette and whoever else I missed in the Facey chat. Dwight, Susan, Amy, hi and welcome on this lovely happy Friday to you. Oh gosh, thank goodness it's Friday too, right? My guest today, I'm so excited to have him on. So I looked, he's waiting in the background, but I looked at the last time I had him on. I can't believe it's been a whole year since I had him on. That's like way too long. My guest today is Senator from Colorado, Ted Harvey. He's the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President, and he's going to talk to us today we're going to chat about the Mueller investigation, and really it's all of you know, I'm sure anybody who's paying attention knows that it's the cost is into the millions of dollars, and I really would love to know whether or not we think it's worth the money. I have my suspicions on what you guys think about that, and whether or not anything is to be gained considering the circumstances. They've indicted some people, but most of those people are probably not even going to be really prosecuted or go to trial, or anything like that is going to happen. And that's our good hard-earned. Let me say it again. First day with my new mouth. It's our good hard-earned money. Hello, Katina. How are you, darling? Happy Friday to you. So, I wonder if it's worth the cost. And, with Senator Harvey being the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President, I'm always teasing him about that he's really got, I think, the hardest job in America. I'm just kidding. Next to the president, and maybe oh gosh, what's my girl's name? Sarah, the press secretary, Sarah Huckabee. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. That woman, she's a warrior. Goodness. Anyway, in the Money Talk news real quick. Oh my God, so much going on. There's always so much going on. And anytime, one of my faves is mentioned, Apple and Amazon are mentioned in the same story. I got to talk about that. So Apple is the forerunner to become the first publicly traded company valued at $1 trillion. And following not too far behind that, of course, is Amazon. Amazon's valuation, briefly jumped above 900 million this week after it sold more than 100 million products on Prime Day. I feel like I probably contributed to that. Apple's value hovers under $940 billion. That's cray-cray. That's a lot of money. That's insane. I'm excited for them. I don't know why I'm not getting any of that. I just love both of those companies. And I love the fact that those companies are so very well run. Now, is there an evil component to those companies? Yeah, there's evil components to those companies. I hate to say that there's evil components to those companies, but there really are. It's a shame, but it's true. But they're going to be the first ones valued at $1 trillion. That's just that those are amazing numbers. And not for nothing, you can't discount the fact that our economy is doing so well has something to do with that. The bidding war for 21st Century Fox entertainment assets seems to be over. It was a bidding war between Disney and Comcast. And Comcast is pursuing is still pursuing Sky. Fox already owns 39% of Sky and has been competing with Comcast for the rest of the network. So the big boys are still battling it out. But all these people with all this money. Boeing, I guess this week is like all the wars reports, but Boeing has claimed victory over Airbus at the closing of Farnborough Air Show. Airbus reported $62 billion in sales from 431 planes, while Boeing will head back to the U.S. with $79 billion from orders involving 528 jetliners. I have a question. If you guys heard my show on Wednesday, there's a shortage of pilots. Hey, Boeing, who's supposed to fly all these planes? Just asking a question. Who's supposed to buy all these planes from the airlines? Who's supposed to fly all these planes? There's no pilots. Are they doing their market studies? I'm just asking. I'm just throwing a question out there. Just putting it out there. Supposed to fly all these. That seems like a lot of planes to me. That's all I'm saying. Starbucks, those of us who live near DC and frequent the DC area might be happy to hear this or not. Starbucks will open a cafe in DC staffed by people proficient in sign language. That is good news. The branch will be located near the Gallaudet University. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Which gears all its programs toward people who are deaf or hard of hearing. That's awesome. The signing store will be designed with deaf and hard of hearing patrons in mind. That's very cool, actually. I like that. I like that, Starbucks. Now, if we want to be inclusive, I think that's the kind of being inclusive that we should be doing. Not like color inclusive, but that's, a conversation for a different day. I'm just saying. Like if we're going to be inclusive, that's the kind of stuff we should be doing. I think, in my not so humble opinion. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is Ted Harvey. He is a senator from Colorado and former senator from Colorado, currently chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. We're going to talk today about the Mueller investigation, about the costs, and about how it's going, whether or not it's worth it. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Bitterness, a recipe for disaster. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page of the Edwards book, for decades, hordes of haranguing bitter complainers have been making noise about problems both real and imagined. In fact, complaining has become an industry where dummied down bitter enemies of liberty, like Representative Way Out Waters of California, who sustains her power by taking advantage of government school indoctrinated voters who think it's just fine and dandy to follow around elderly Senator Mitch McConnell and harass him, or attack Christian patriots who simply gather to pray for our republic. But to what end? Has the quality of life improved for those whose sole purpose in life is to complain and moan to high heaven about either slavery, capitalism, or even Trump? The truth is, most societal complainers are merely disruptive tools of those seeking to literally destroy this great republic. The Antifa/Soros grunts don't care about improving the quality of life for anyone, including themselves. The biblical definition of complaining means to be left behind. Those complainers will themselves be soon left behind as we, the people, seek providential guidance to restore America. And join me Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com and americaMatters.us. I'm Ron Edwards.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest today is former Senator from Colorado, Senator Ted Harvey. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my guest. He's been on my show, I think, twice already. He's the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. And during the 2016 presidential cycle, Senator Harvey was chairman of the Stop Hillary PAC. Ted Harvey is a former Republican member of the Colorado State Senate, representing District 30 from 2007 to 2015, served in the Colorado House of Representatives from 2000 to 2006, earned his BS from Colorado State and an MPA from University of Colorado in Denver. His professional experience includes working as district office manager for U.S. Representative Joel Heffley, staff for U.S. President Ronald Reagan, and the president and owner of Metro Funding Corporation, program director for Independent Institute, and House reading clerk for the Colorado State House of Representatives. And without further ado, Senator Ted Harvey, how are you, darling? You there?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I lost you. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you now.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. How are you?
I am great. Long time no talk.
I know.
You don't call, you don't write.
I know. And look, you know, Senator Ted Harvey and I are kind of buds too. So he's just so cool. He's such a cool guy. So
A lot of CPAC conventions.
A lot of CPAC conventions, Conservative Political Action Conference conventions, and if you guys who follow me on social media occasionally will see me post about Senator Ted Harvey, this guy that I tag on who's on Fox News, killing it on Fox right now. This is the guy that I'm giving a shout out to. This is him. you see him on Fox.
The one, the only.
Yes, the one, the only. You see him on Fox News occasionally defending the president. That's what he does as the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. That's his job. So let's talk about one thing about Donald Trump. As long as he's in office, you're going to have plenty of work.
That's plenty to talk about.
You'll have plenty to do. You'll never be unemployed.
Job security.
Exactly. You'll never be unemployed. So the Mueller investigation, it's costing taxpayers into the millions. You know, at first, my first inclination about the whole thing is collusion isn't even illegal. So why do we even have a special counsel looking at this in the first place?
Well, I mean, it's all political. It was all set up from the very beginning to be a political investigation to try to justify why Hillary Clinton lost, because Hillary Clinton was never supposed to lose because she's the smartest woman ever to walk on the face of the earth. And when she lost, the Democrats had to come up with some justification for why she lost the election. And having a scandal with Russia was probably the best opportunity they had to come up with something. But then after that, the media was so out of control in the way that they were attacking the president, trying to discredit the president, trying to discredit the election, that when Trump ended up firing Comey because he was a total incompetent, dark state tool, that he had to get him out of the administration. Then the media blew that up, and they formed this. Rosenstein had to appoint a special counsel. And what it is, I'm more concerned. I'm not so much concerned about the cost of it. I'm more financial, monetary cost of it. I'm more worried about the cost of the impact to the country, to the soul of the country, because I believe that Mueller is being used by the left, by the media, to drive a wedge between brothers and sisters in this country who one side is falling for this narrative that the
the President of the United States was working with a foreign country to win the election. And the other side is believing that there is this whole cabal that is out to get the President of the United States, who's out to get conservatives. And how do you heal this huge crevasse that has been put in place between brothers and sisters across the country on a stupid investigation about collusion when everybody knows there was no collusion? And the only people that are being indicted are people that, one, the 13 Russians, they're from another country. Nobody is being indicted here in the United States on collusion. The people who've been indicted that were U.S. citizens, when you look at Monfort, he's being indicted on stuff that happened 10, 15 years ago, well before the presidential election. And General Flynn, I believe he was railroaded, and I think in the end he's going to be exonerated. So you look at everything. There's nobody in the administration, there's nobody in the campaign that Mueller is even touching when it comes to this investigation. So, yes, it is expensive. Yes, it is a waste of money. But more importantly, I think the corrosive impact that it's having on the soul of America is even far more of a concern than the monetary concern.
And, I tend to agree with you on that. And speaking of the media, I don't. It's funny. I don't watch MSNBC or CNN at all. And, I laugh when people say, oh, you watch Fox News, you shouldn't watch Fox News because it's biased. The difference is that when I watch Fox News, I know what is news, what is supposed to be news, and what is commentary. You know what I mean? Because I feel like Fox News is like really clear on like they don't hide that they are a conservative network. You know what I mean? And they
don't make up stories to justify their conservative stories that they're doing. On MSN, literally, you watch that, and almost everything that they are talking about is a bunch of easily verified, made up lies, and they just go with it, and they are filling the minds of liberals out there that Trump is a racist, that Trump is involved in this collusion, that Trump wants to undermine the CIA and the FBI. It's all a bunch of lies, but they're going with it.
That's what I was about to say. I was in DC, and the last couple times I was in DC, I've noticed this. The places that I stayed did not have Fox News at all. All they had was CNN and MSNBC. So I was like, usually when that happens, I just turn to something else. I'm like, you know what? I guess I'll just be on a news blackout because I'm not watching this. But I thought, you know what? Let me see what people are talking about. Let me see if it's really that bad. This was a couple of days ago. I was in DC. And they really are literally lying. They are lying. They are lying. I'll give you an example. For the audience, they're describing Peter Strzok as just an FBI agent. They're completely leaving out that he was the lead agent in charge of both investigations. That's a significant fact. And this went on. I was listening to the news for I tend to just stay in my room when I'm traveling on business, so I stay out of trouble. So instead of going out. But I'm listening for like 24 hours to this news, and they are straight lying. They're lying. And it was unbelievable to me that they were presenting this as actual news. And the entire time, I mean, it could not have been more slanted the way they were presenting it. It was crazy.
Yes. And Mueller is giving them the ammunition. You look at what happened last week when Trump is going over to Europe to meet with the European leaders to discuss
NATO or the G7? Which one?
No, the military one. I'm blanking out on the name of what the NATO. Yeah, he's going over there to talk about NATO, and everybody knows. Then he's going to go talk with Putin. And what does Mueller do? He comes down literally while Trump is in Europe with an indictment of 30 Russians just to mess with Trump and to undermine his trip while he's overseas meeting with foreign dignitaries. I mean, talk about collusion. Mueller is colluding with the left. He's colluding with those that are inside the administration that are trying to undermine the administration, rather than doing his job and coming to a conclusion on what he's supposed to be investigating. He's working with the left just to undermine this president.
It's a sad thing to see. I have a couple of questions in the Facey chat, Ted, if you don't mind. One of the questions, I think they're both right now from Chris Gaines. The first one is, what has been revealed in the FISA memo about the Steele dossier, why has Hillary Clinton not been indicted, or other players in that scheme? What do you think about that? That is a great question, really.
It is an exceptional question. I think that Ron Rosenstein should be indicted because he was the one that was actually overseeing that. I think Strzok should be indicted because he was involved in that. They are the ones that went to the FISA court. They're the ones that did not tell the judge in the FISA court that the DNC actually funded this dossier, which in any other court situation, the investigators would have to tell the judge who was responsible for funding it, and they didn't do that. And they knew that the majority of the salacious information in the dossier was actually false, and they didn't tell the judge that. I think it should be the FBI agents that were lying to the judge that should be being prosecuted, and hopefully in the end that may be what happens. But right now, when you're looking at the Mueller investigation, you're looking the way Ron Rosenstein is handling this situation. I don't think anybody's going to go to jail on this.
I don't, now, I know dead air is really bad in radio. It just boggles my mind that, we're so concerned that Donald Trump is such a powerful man, the most powerful man in the country, but it seems that maybe he's not. If we can't seem to get this nailed down, like these people are more powerful than Congress and more powerful than the president, how can that be?
Well, I think that's why you were seeing Trey Gowdy and Congressman Nunn literally being so frustrated they are swearing
right
during the hearing,
right? Because
they are so frustrated they are not getting the information that they are demanding, and they are being held up at every turn. That is why Congress is freaking out on this, and I do believe they should move forward with an impeachment of Ron Rosenstein, the deputy FBI director, because he is the one that is single-handedly holding this up.
You just have to wonder, what in the world is it that they are hiding that is so, like, it's got to be something pretty bad that they are hiding.
Well, I think it was that the FBI was colluding, literally, to tank the Clinton investigation and spy on the Trump campaign to try to find something to impeach President Trump on. And I think there is a paper trail, and I think that whether it's McCabe, whether it is Strzok, whether it is Lisa Page, whether it is Comey and Rosenstein, I think they all knew what was going on, and I think they all played a part in it.
Well, listen, and the fact that there would be Republicans involved is not to me. Like, I don't think we can rule out Republicans being involved. I mean, let's face it. Who of us was not shocked election night? I mean,
right. And I honestly, I don't care. It wouldn't, if this happened to Hillary Clinton, I would be just as irate. When you have the head of the most powerful intelligence agency in the world spying on U.S. citizens, undermining the election of the most powerful country in the world, that is something that should cross all party affiliations. The outrage, we all should be outraged in that, because that is scary, scary, scary stuff. when they are coming after our presidential candidates, and they think that they can do it without any ramification. If Hillary Clinton would have been elected, we wouldn't be having any of these discussions right now. The only reason why we're having these discussions is because Trump got elected, the Republicans control the House and the Senate, and they're able to investigate the corruption that is going on at the highest levels of the FBI and the CIA.
Here's what worries me. Here's what worries me about the deep state is I truly believe, and I hate to say this, and you can plead the fifth if you must, that on our side of the aisle, I believe that there are people. Look, we were talking before we got on the air, right, about how well we were doing a couple years ago during the primary. I think there were people who did. There's a lot of people who are registered Republicans that are never Trumpers. Yep. I am sure that they exist throughout Congress. I'm sure that they exist in the FBI.
Case in point is John McCain. John McCain's the one that brought the dossier to the FBI.
Right. So, and none of us, when you're at that level of power, and none of us thought that he was going to win. I don't think he thought he was going to win. Okay? Nobody really thought, except for people who just really have some keen insight. But even the best predictors of elections, I would say, even some of your most savvy, politicos did not think he was going to win. And
I always say that God uses the foolish to confound the wise.
Right.
And he definitely confounded the people who are the smartest politicians and prognosticators and pollsters of the entire country. God confounded them.
You're right.
But I got to tell you, the grassroots that aren't your professional politicians, that aren't your professional pollsters, the grassroots understood what was going on at the ground level with their disdain for the way the Republican Party and the Democrat Party was selling out our country and not defending our borders, not keeping terrorists out of our country, and following this globalist agenda to make America even with all of the other countries around the world. They knew their jobs were at risk. They knew that their neighborhoods were becoming unsafe. They knew that something was wrong, and either the Republican establishment or the Democrat Party was doing anything to fix it. And Donald Trump tapped into that heartbeat of the grassroots, and they knew he was going to win.
You're right.
I didn't see it coming.
You're right. No, you're right about that. You're right. When you talk to people on the ground, they were like, "Oh yeah, he's definitely going to win." And those of us who are involved were like, "No way."
Yep.
Those of us regulars, who are moving and shaking, were like, "No way in the world." And it was amazing. But I said that to say that when you think when you're so confident like that and you have that much power, you can totally understand why they would think that they could get away with that on both sides of the aisle. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Arrogance.
Exactly. Complete arrogance. We have had another question in the chat. Would you agree that the narrative about collusion with President Trump and Russia is being kept alive for the sole purpose of getting more Democrats elected in 2008 midterms?
Without a doubt. I mean, that's the only narrative that the Democrats have to take to the American people in this next election cycle. They don't have any ideas to make your life better. They don't have any ideas to improve the economy. All they have is elect me and we'll impeach the president. That's a sad state of affairs that the Democrat Party has gotten to where it has gotten. But, I mean, you look at all the socialists that are getting elected in the party and they're literally taking one of the greatest parties ever off a cliff, and the media's leading the charge and cheering them on. That's all they have is Donald Trump is terrible. He's undermining American interests around the world. And he's a puppet of Russia. So elect us and we'll impeach him. I don't believe that the grassroots that we were just talking about is buying it. And I think that the Democrats are going to lose in November, and the Republicans will actually pick up seats in the Senate, and I think we may lose some seats in the House, but we're not going to lose the House.
I tend to agree with you. And you know what else I think? I think that Barack Obama unintentionally moved the Republican Party further to the left, and what that meant was that they kind of took away their own narrative. Here lately, I've been associating with, I'm involved in these Republican organizations, and as I'm sitting there, I have to remind myself that I'm with Republicans and not conservatives.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Because
I always say that, the extremes define the middle. So the Democrats have been going so far to the left, and Republicans, and they've been beating, the snot out of Republicans for decades because Republicans don't fight back like Donald Trump is.
Right.
And so the Republicans continue to negotiate and compromise. And when the Republicans compromise and move to the left, the center doesn't stay where it was. The center moves to the left. And over the last 50 years, the center has moved so far to the left that JFK wouldn't recognize the Democrat Party today. And he certainly, that the Republican Party looks like the Democrat Party
right.
when JFK was here.
Right.
And that's why I never call myself a Republican. I call myself a constitutionalist conservative that believes in small government and capitalism. And the Republican Party of today, the John McCains and the Corkers and the Flakes of the world, they represent a party that's not me. But praise God, they aren't running for office again this year because they couldn't win their primary if they were to run again. That's why Corker's not running. That's why Jeff Flake's not running, because they couldn't win their primaries because the Republican Party grassroots is still conservative.
Yes, indeed. That's a perfect time we're up against the break. It's 5:40. It's perfect way to take a break. But yeah, that's oh man, that's what I've been observing here lately. And I'm like, don't say anything. Remember, you're at a Republican meeting because you know me. I have no poker face and no chill. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh wait, I'm at a Republican meeting. That's right. Never mind. You're listening to Money.
You will speak your mind.
Yes, I will. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guest today is Ted Harvey. He's former senator from Colorado, and he's the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. We're talking about the Mueller investigation, and we will be right back in a few moments.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads radio show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com. And maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, under 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
Dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke. Their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Miller. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Flying Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's no surrender ever, because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights. Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right at SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
And welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest today is the one and only Senator Ted Senator Ted Harvey. Ted, do you know how many times I've come close to saying Senator Steve Harvey? I'm just telling you. Which would be hilarious. I'm just saying.
We're brothers from another mother.
Exactly. Because every time I almost accidentally say Senator Steve Harvey, I envision you in like a Steve Harvey suit. Like I get this like thought bubble of you in one of Steve Harvey's suits, and then I just want to like laugh hysterically. So
He's just a little bigger than I am.
a tiny bit. No, just a tiny bit. Anyway, my guest today is Senator Steve Harvey from Colorado. He's also the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. We're talking all things Mueller investigation, that lame investigation, the Mueller investigation. I do have another question for you, Senator Harvey.
Yeah.
Obviously, President Trump has been put in a tricky spot with trying to go after Rod Rosenstein and Christopher Wray because he's being investigated. Doesn't that make it more critical for Jeff Sessions to scrutinize them and possibly oust them for not doing their job, the job they were called to do?
Yeah. How's that?
Yeah, it does.
I don't know what is going on. I honestly don't know what is going on. I see Jeff Sessions doing some very quiet, interesting things behind the scenes that tells me that he's setting up a case for something, and I don't know what it is. But then I see him allowing the man who was working for the DNC chair, Washington Schultz, that had access to the entire congressional intelligence back offices on their computer system, and Sessions allows him off on a misdemeanor of some kind, to plead guilty to a misdemeanor and lets him off. Something's up there. I don't know if he has come together with some kind of a plea bargain deal, and he's going to let him, get off on it, and if he's going to provide some kind of evidence, or what's going on there. But on some things, I'm very excited, and other things, I'm very concerned. So I don't know how to answer that question other than to say yes to the question.
Yeah, on the one hand, I find it hard to believe that Jeff Sessions is like the flake that some are portraying him to be.
Yeah,
like he's just
a brilliant man.
Right. Like all indications up until this point is that he's a brilliant attorney, a brilliant man, and a patriot. Yeah, absolutely.
But he was leading the cause on immigration in the United States Senate when nobody else would pick up the banner.
Indeed. And to me, always seemed to have been on the right side of things. So it would surprise me if suddenly that has changed.
Yeah.
I just, it's perplexing. And not for nothing, the Attorney General's position is to do a lot more than just this investigation.
But I got to tell you, one thing that I find very curious, and nobody's been able to answer for me, is why a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, he hired 300 prosecutors, not investigators, not litigators, prosecutors. Is he setting up the Justice Department to start prosecuting a lot of people for a lot of crimes?
Huh. That's an interesting question. I mean, it seems like it's taking...
Because I can rattle off 100 people who need to be in jail right now.
Well...
over what happened with the Clinton Foundation, over what happened with Uranium One, what happened with Mueller being the investigator, the head of the FBI during Uranium One, and letting Hillary off the hook, with the Hillary email scandal and Comey letting her off the hook, and McCabe letting her off the hook, and Stuck letting her off the hook. There's a lot of people who, in a court of law, under oath, need to answer a lot of questions, and they're not answering them before Congress, and we need to get to the bottom of it. Right.
Now, Rosenstein and Ray, aren't they Trump appointees?
Well, Rosenstein already was in the FBI. He was already in place during the Obama administration. It's just when Comey was fired, Rosenstein was brought up as the deputy director of FBI.
Okay. For some reason, I thought he was a Trump appointee. Ray was, though.
Who was?
Ray was a Trump appointee.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me like if Ray was around when all that other stuff went down, with Hillary's emails, that he shouldn't have been, like, somebody who had nothing to do with that should have been picked. But then again, you don't want anybody that doesn't have any, FBI experience. You know what I mean? Right. Especially not for the FBI.
But there's so many conflicts of interest at the highest levels of the FBI and the Justice Department and the CIA right now. It's crazy. Yet nobody is holding them accountable.
For sure. I saw last night, I was watching Tucker, and Rand Paul was on, and they were talking about how people like John Brennan still have their security clearance.
Yes.
And Susan Rice.
And I heard something the other day that was very interesting that I did not know. If you have left and you still have your security clearance, you cannot go in and pull information through our security systems on American citizens. But we have agreements with the Australian government, the United Kingdom government, France, Germany, I think it's 7 countries, that if you have a security clearance, you can go to those countries and get information on U.S. citizens.
And
isn't that interesting?
Oh, that's very interesting. And I mean, these people travel all over the place. And if you're trying to do something pretty specific, you think it's beyond reach for somebody to say, I'll pay your ticket to go to Australia to get this information?
Right.
We're talking about politics here, people.
We need to change power, money, lots of money.
Well,
change that law to say that as soon as you leave your position within government, your security clearance has to be revoked.
But I was going to say, Ted, this goes right back to the difference between flipping government and private entities. I can guarantee you that when the COO leaves Apple, that clearance is gone. Before, you know what I mean? Like
they take away the keys to the kingdom as soon as his butt walks out the door.
Absolutely. Probably before that. Before he physically leaves.
Yeah.
That clearance is done. Private entities don't play around with that kind of stuff. Yep. But the government, oh, sure. Have it. Weeks, months after you after you left. It's ridiculous. Oh boy, I can't. I really. It's
scary.
It is scary. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I don't care. Again, I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're Ronald Reagan. I don't care if they're Hillary Clinton. If the FBI and people with security clearance are abusing that power and going after American citizens and political party leadership, that is just crazy. I mean, we already know that when Brenner was the head of the CIA, he was caught spying on members of Congress. And this is now the guy that's saying Trump should be impeached for treason. This is the guy who was caught spying on members of Congress when he was head of CIA.
I don't know if you know Mike Fitzpatrick, from NCX Group. He's a cybersecurity expert. Well, I had him on my show the other day, and he was telling me that at one company that he did business with had an IT person who was reading people's emails. Now, he's like, that's taboo in the IT world. Okay.
Yep.
That was a private industry where that was being done. You and I both know that there are people who know their IT guy. Come on, slide them an extra hundo. Take a look at so-and-so's email.
Yep.
Or Congressman so-and-so says, hey, come on. This kind of stuff happens all the time. And yes.
Well, that's the whole reason why Snowden is living in Russia now, because he gave up that information proving that the federal government is doing that. The federal government has been collecting all of our phone conversations, all of our emails, all of our text messages forever. And they just finally got sued last week and was forced to delete it all because they didn't have a warrant to have it.
Yeah, apparently when they're collecting metadata, I have a friend who has a friend who works for the NSA, and all of it's like anonymous. It's one of those things like it's just anonymous data unless they see something that's concerning, and then they'll kind of dig deeper. And he basically said it's just a bunch of naughty parts. It's actually like a very unpleasant job. I thought that was hilarious, but.
Can you imagine having that job?
No, I actually cannot imagine having that job. But he said it's actually like a really horrible job, just like watching live metadata. It's terrible. But But how do you think this ends up concluding? I'm wondering what you think. Like, how do you think when it is all said and done, it's supposed to be coming to a close? What do you think ends up happening?
I think that based on what happened last week when Mueller threw himself into international politics while Trump was overseas and got involved in that by indicting 13 Russians right before Trump was meeting with the head of Russia. I think there is nothing good that's going to happen. I think that you look at what Comey has been saying over the last week. You look at what Bremer has been saying over the last week. I think they think the game is up, and if the Republicans keep control of Congress, they're going to continue in this investigation, and they're going to get to the bottom of it. And they're going to find out that there is a lot of crap that was going on at the highest levels of the FBI. And that Comey or Mueller realizes that as well, and he is going to wait until right before the election, and he's going to come out with something. I don't know what it's going to be, but probably will not be anything of significance. But it will not come out until right before the election in an effort to try to undermine the Republicans' ability to keep control of the House of Representatives.
Which I think will probably incentivize them. I think you're right, but I think it's going to have the opposite effect.
I do too.
I think it will.
The American politics has never seen a Donald Trump fight back and hit people right back in the nose and take it to them. The Democrats, the left, the media, the FBI, the CIA, they've watched Republicans get hit in the nose and fall back into the fetal position and never fight back, and that's why we continue to lose. Donald Trump is a totally different beast, and they don't know how to handle it.
They sure don't. They must enjoy getting punched because they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Tell the audience how to get in touch with you.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. But, we, like you said at the very beginning, we used to be the Stop Hillary PAC, and when we heard that how the Democrats and the left were having a total temper tantrum, we changed the name of the PAC over to the Committee to Defend the President. And since then, we've become the largest pro-Trump PAC in the country. And your listeners can go to our website, committeetodefendthepresident.com, and they can see what we're doing there. They can see the videos that we're running around the country. They can go to our Facebook page. I encourage everybody to go to our Facebook page and like us and follow us on Facebook. We're over 900,000 followers on Facebook, and it's Committee to Defend the President. And I'm desperately trying to get to 1 million followers. So everybody, please like us and follow us on Facebook. And on Twitter, it is _defend_Trump. I think that's what it is. I never use Twitter anymore, so I think that's what it is.
Twitter's tough.
I'm sitting in my car in a parking lot, so I don't have that information at my fingertips.
Send it to me, and I'll make sure that I get it to the audience. Thank you so much, Senator Ted Harvey. I adore you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're awesome. God bless. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. I want to thank everyone who's listening today on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. All you guys in the Facey chat, great questions, great comments. You guys totally rock. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're listening to this via podcast, thank you so much for downloading it. Thank you so very much. Remember, all of this is very important because it is your money. Have a great weekend.